All right, and welcome into the Betting Pros College Football Show. It is officially October, which means we are in the heart of college football season, and today we will throw down our bets for Week 6. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, and today I am joined by a man who stood by his Virginia Tech Hokies last weekend, and he was more profitable for it. Terrell Furman Jr., here we go again, man. What's going on?
No. We're cutting the intro short because, we didn't even talk about this in the pre-show, but we have official pre-show meetings, which is like the 10 minutes that it takes us actually to start the show. But how do you take 5 minutes on a review and say it's clear and conclusive evidence? What? If you took 5 minutes, it's clearly not clear. It's clearly not conclusive, or you would have went to the monitor and then came back and told us that it wasn't a catch. Because it was clearly, you could, okay, if you had ruled it on the field, not a catch, I understand.
Sure.
Because I would not have been able to show you the moment to say, oh, that is now a catch, or that is not a catch. But it was ruled not a catch. This is, you know what? And when the news drops next year that Virginia Tech is leaving the ACC and they're going to join the Big 12,
Sure.
and restart their rivalry with West Virginia, I called it here first because the ACC is going to pay for their actions. They made business decisions when they decided to call the refs and decide a winner of this game. So we're going to make a business decision and do what's better for us. Death to the ACC.
Okay. All right. Well, strong statements there from our guy Terrell starting out. Also, we're joined by a guy who I hope is feeling a little bit better.
That was a win. That was a win. That was a win. They want Miami in there so bad. That was a win. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's all right. I know a lot of people on the internet felt the same way as you, Terrell, especially after the game day location got announced later on Saturday as well. But guys, we are joined by a man who I hope has that fall feeling right now. Hopefully he's maybe had a couple pumpkin spice bevies, maybe watched a couple scary movies lately. Scott Bogman. Scott, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I love seeing Terrell so fired up. By the way, Terrell told us he did not really have a college team when we started this. Seems like maybe he's got a college team in Vaught Tech there. He's defending a lot.
I mean, we just don't ever talk about Liberty or West Virginia or JMU on this show. I would be fired up for those guys as well. But
yeah, that is true. We stick
to
not
Virginia
here.
But
you will, of course not if you love Vaught Tech. But yeah, I think you're right, Terrell. That game was nuts. I mean, and I knew I was screwed from the first throw. Like the Cam Ward threw it and Damian Martinez went off his hands. I was like, these guys do not want to be here. They don't want to be here. They don't. And they turned the ball over. Virginia Tech scored so fast. The only thing that bailed me out at all was, and I broke even on this game because or actually I didn't break even. I made my call. I got one of my 3 picks right in this game. My official call on my Friday show, because they took the halftime bet down. I don't know if you saw that, Terrell, but they took, when I saw it, they took the halftime bet down. So I said, okay, fine. Let's just take the first quarter, Miami -6.5. Well, that hit, but
I might or might not have been the reason they took it down.
But so they took that bet down, so I didn't get that one, which I'd already had money on. I also had money on Miami and laying the points for the entire game, so I got my first quarter bet, didn't get my halftime or my full cover bet. But yeah, at that point at the end of the game, I was like, you know what, you didn't come to my bet, Miami, screw you, I want you to lose. And I was hoping that they would call that Virginia Tech a touchdown, but I think it was the right call. I think when you see the replay, it was the correct call. But I think you're right. You called it a touchdown. It takes 5 minutes. It should never take that long at the end of the game. So what took so long? I'm not wearing the aluminum tinfoil hat that Terrell is here, but I do think that took too long. And everyone that it backs Virginia Tech has a right to be angry. And it's a bad look either way, taking that long. So controversy. But that wasn't even the big game of the week. I mean, we had Georgia and Alabama.
It's going to be a power three coming soon.
Ole Miss getting upset. Yeah, it was a crazy weekend. But the most important week 6, the next week.
Absolutely, and it's like not the most loaded slate. I feel like here heading into week 6, we only have just one top 25 matchup, but still some good games nonetheless, I feel like. And we're going to be breaking down our 9 favorite matchups on the slate on today's program. And before we jump in, I did want to remind you about the Betting Pros Discord. Looking to up your game in sports betting? Join our exclusive sports betting community on Discord at bettingpros.com/chat. Not only can you connect with expert handicappers like Terrell, like Bogman, who provide free picks for NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, player props, live betting, and more. But you can now also participate in our weekly community picks. You can cast your vote, see how your picks stack up against the experts, and track your success. All right, let's go ahead and start the game breakdowns on Friday night in Vegas, baby. We have the 25th ranked UNLV Rebels hosting Kyle McCord and the Syracuse Orange, and talk about a game that's going to be very difficult to handicap, gentlemen. Last week, we saw starting quarterback for UNLV, Matthew Sluka, leave the program due to some yeah. He left the program due to some discrepancies with NIL payments. That followed by a depth running back, Michael Allen, following his lead there, allegedly not due to NIL, is what he put on X there. Still, though, it's been a great season for the Rebels. They currently sit atop the Mountain West standings and are 4-0 straight up and against the spread. For Syracuse, meanwhile, they're led by Ohio State transfer quarterback Kyle McCord and workhorse running back LaQuint Allen. They're 3-1 against the spread and straight up. They've only lost to the frisky Stanford Cardinal back in week number 4. UNLV handled business last week amid controversy against Fresno State, but now they are laying 6.5 on a good Orange team. Is that too much for you, Terrell?
Yes, way too many points. This is the classic letdown spot of this team got up. They said Saluka who, and they went out there and balled and said, we don't need no stinking Saluka. We can handle this. And I think the entire team played up. It wasn't even just the quarterback position. I think the entire team, from the defense, everybody played up for that game. And now you get Syracuse coming in, where ACC foe coming over. And I think the Syracuse fan base is going to travel really, really well for this game. I mean, come on. I mean, you get to leave Syracuse to go to Vegas. Like, why would you not?
It's beautiful up there right
not
now.
December yet, but yeah.
It's beautiful up there in the Cuse right now, my friend. Yeah. It's the time to be up there.
Yeah, like I think, quote unquote, beautiful weather. I think that, anybody that takes a chance to go to Vegas is going to take that opportunity to go to Vegas. So
sure.
I think that the fans are going to travel well. And I think that Syracuse, Kyle McCord, hey, he just cleans up the turnover issue. And I think that he's still a really, really good quarterback. I like this Syracuse team as a dog. I hate with them with expectations, but you're telling me that they're 6.5 points worse than this UNLV team. The line was 3.5 on the look ahead weeks ago. Like, I don't think the line should change that much. I think that Kyle McCord in this Syracuse offense can still put up points. It's going to be a bunch of points scored. I like Syracuse plus 6.5 and sprinkle on the money line.
Okay, how do you feel about it, Bogman?
I'm with Terrell here. I'm all about this one. I think he's absolutely correct. Even with that money line play, I think could be in play as well. But my question is, does UNLV have a good win? They beat Houston, who looks very miserable. Kansas is 1-4, so both those teams are 1-4. They had 2 weeks to prepare for Fresno State, even with this quarterback leaving here. So, Syracuse has played a light schedule as well, and they dropped one to Stanford. But they're coming off. They did, and they're coming off a Holy Cross bye week here, where they beat Holy Cross 42-14. So I'm going to take Syracuse and give me the points. And I like this. I think I would wait until Friday, because the way this is getting bet and the way this has been so far, maybe this opens to 7.5, something like that. So I'd rather have 7.5. So I'll wait to take it, but I'm fine taking the 6.5. And I don't hate a money line sprinkle as well, like Terrell mentioned.
All right. I think I'm going to ride with you, boys. I was already kind of leaning that direction as well. So after hearing your guys'
Friday sweat.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, little group sweat there on Friday night. I like it. Let's go ahead and shift into Saturday, though, gentlemen, where the game of the noon slate is a top 25 matchup with the 9th-ranked Mizzou Tigers heading to College Station to battle the 25th-ranked Texas A&M Aggies. This line has moved a bit since Monday, more in favor of the Aggies. They are now laying 2.5 points on the Tigers. I got it down, or I got down on it when it was Missouri +2. Mizzou is coming off a bye week after 2 close wins and are pretty healthy on all accounts. Meanwhile, Marcel Reed has been the guy for the Aggies at quarterback since mid-game week 1 after Connor Wegman went down with an injury. No news on whether he or center TJ Shanahan will be active in this game after missing last week. Bogman, are you still backing the Tigers here? Our BP projections love them and think they should be the favorite here.
Yes, I am backing the Tigers here. And my main thing here is I think it was probably good for Missouri to get scared by Vanderbilt going into the bye week, because that means you're going to have angry coaches making sure that all these players are on their P's and Q's in a business trip to Kyle Field. You have no screw around room in this game here. So my main thing here is I think Missouri opens it up. I think they're better clicking on offense early in this game. And I just don't trust Texas A&M to make a comeback after they get down points. We've seen Marcel Reed has played fine. Connor Wegman may be back in this game, though, so we're playing a little bit of musical chairs at the quarterback position. I think Reed fits better, so I think they should stick with him. It is Kyle Field. It is a tough environment to play in, but Missouri, I feel like, they still have that legit top 10 team in them. Even though they lost a lot of talent to the NFL last year, I love the combo of Brady Cook and Luther Burden, and I'm going to lean on them against the Aggies on the road here. I think they're going to be more focused on the road. They've been a little lazy the last couple games. So I think the scare was good for them, and I think they win this game outright.
Okay, so you're okay with the +115 money line right now as well on Mizzou?
Sure. Okay. Absolutely, yes.
All right, Terrell, you hanging with us here in the Mizzou camp?
No, I'm not. I'm going with Texas A&M. I'm actually kind of surprised. Yeah, I'm with Texas A&M. So we look at the quarterbacks, and the reason that these last 2 games were close when they started playing some real competition, and you have Diego Pavia, mobile quarterback, able to make something happen with his legs and be able to kill you over through the air. Then you have Tommy Boy over there with Bill O'Brien, and he even looked good against this team. He threw a couple of interceptions, but he was still able to throw 3 touchdowns in him for about 250 yards or something like that, and so 249 officially. But so I think that, I like Marcel Reed. If Marcel Reed is playing in this game, I think that he's exactly the quarterback that can give them some issues. And on the road, those near losses might actually be a loss rather than at home where they were able to compose themselves, lock back in, and figure it out at the end of the game. So I'm rolling with Texas A&M here. I like the quarterback position, but if they, for some reason, decide to trot Connor Wegman out there, then yes, I'm 100% with you guys. Lock up Missouri. I think Wegman is not a good quarterback. I think he sucks. And so I think Marcel Reed should have been the guy in the beginning, and he's showing it now, especially with that win last week. Even though it was ugly, he was able to compose them and get them that win. I'm with Marcel Reed to be able to get this done at home against Mizzou.
Bogman, where's the public money at right now? Do you know?
I think the public money is on Missouri. I will double check. Yeah, it's tickets are just slightly on Missouri, and money is leaning a little bit more towards Missouri.
Okay. All right, and before we keep it moving, don't forget to join our college football podcast group. Sync your picks and use our quick pick feature on the BettingPros sports betting app and get a chance to win free picks. Elevate your betting strategy and join the conversation today at bettingpros.com/college. Popping the top off the 3:30 slate, it's a 12th ranked Ole Miss Rebels traveling to Columbia, South Carolina. A little bit of line movement on the total in this game, but overall this game has been pretty quiet on all fronts since our early week show. On Tuesday, we saw that both South Carolina quarterback Lenore Sellers and running back Raheem Rocket Sanders took the field at practice and were full participants as well. There's no clear indication on whether they will go in this one, but things are pointing in the right direction. No significant note of injury for the Rebels, just a lot of question marks overall here. Jackson Dart, he had his opportunities to win that game last week against Kentucky, but fell flat. Do they respond here and lay the hammer down against the Gamecocks, Terrell?
That's how I feel too.
Am I going to bet it? Probably not. Would I be surprised? No. But I just don't like anything I've kind of seen from Ole Miss, to be honest. I'm not really
And played
not
anyone.
really big on them. Yeah, like, and then when they did, they lost. And so it's like, how good are you? Are you a 3-loss team or are you a 1-loss team? Like that, this game is going to determine like
Mm-hmm.
how good you are. And I think they're closer to a 3-loss team than a 1-loss team. Like they, as soon as they got to a level of competition with Kentucky, they weren't any good. And then we saw what South Carolina was able to do at home against LSU, who I also think is probably on the same level as Ole Miss, which makes Ole Miss overrated. So yeah, I'm going South Carolina here.
Bogman, how do you feel about it, man?
Cocktober, but I don't believe in South Carolina here. And I think what was lost in the this Mississippi team blowing it against Kentucky was that their defense is still really good. I mean, they held the ball for 39 minutes in this game, and Ole Miss still only gave up 336 yards, 18.8% of those yards coming on a 63-yard play. So Ole Miss's defense is still for real. And we have the two best parts of the South Carolina offense questionable in this game. I think from what we've seen, we're going to have Lenora Sellers play and Rocket Sanders is going to be closer to a game time decision, right? Because he said he's all good. He did everything in practice. Sanders went through practice, but still said he's not 100% is what I saw. So I don't know if we're getting Rocket Sanders here. I think this game to me feels like Ole Miss is going to win it and cover, but it's not going to be a fun game. I see like a 27-10 boring type of game. I think what we really saw in the problem with Ole Miss is that offensive line. That offensive line got pushed around by Kentucky, and that is the best part of South Carolina's defense is the defensive line, and they're very, very strong. So I don't really like this game. I'm with Terrell in it where it's meh, and I probably won't have money on it. I think I like the under more than I like the side, but I would still lean towards Ole Miss here.
Okay. In Columbus, Ohio, the third-ranked Buckeyes are now favored by 19.5 points against the unranked Iowa Hawkeyes. It should be a full send for Ohio State. We did see Will Howard take a pretty big shot last week, but he did return to the game. Ryan Day said he will be good to go. Also, we are going to see, hopefully, defensive tackle Tyleik Williams back in this one as well. He was active last week but did not play due to just some extra precaution there. They didn't think they needed him against the Spartans there. And then for Kirk Ferentz and company, wide receiver Seth Williams, he should take the field for the first time this week, as will running back LaShawn Williams, who's been out since suffering an injury in week 3. Bogman, I take it based on the small amount of line movement that the money is coming in on the Hawkeyes. Is that correct?
I will double check that right now just to give you updated numbers. Yes, heavily.
Okay.
Heavily on them. And I look, for me, I don't think this is a look ahead spot for Ohio State. They do have Oregon next week, and that's a huge game.
Yeah.
And, maybe Oregon's in that look ahead spot, but I don't think Ohio State is, because if you don't respect Iowa, they will drag you down into the mud. And I think Ohio State has enough of a track record. They respect Iowa enough to not do that. And we've seen Iowa actually give up some big plays this year. That 75-yard touchdown to Noel against Iowa State sunk them. They had touchdowns given up to Troy of 63 and 43 and 62 yards. And that was against Troy. And then some big chunk plays to Minnesota a couple weeks ago. What I really like in this game is the over. This number at 44.5 is just too low. I think we're going to get at least 35, if not more, from Ohio State in this offense. This is like, I know some people are looking at this game and thinking that this is Kentucky versus Ole Miss because Ohio State hasn't played anyone. We haven't talked about them yet on this show because they haven't played anyone, right? So I get that they haven't truly been tested. I just think there are too many playmakers on this offense for them to not put up points, even against a good Iowa defense. And this is not the best Iowa defense that we've ever seen. They're not the same team that they were last year. They're still very, very good. Nationally, probably still a top 10, 15 defense, but they are not what they were last year. I don't think they are going to be able to hold Ohio State. So I lean towards Ohio State here, but let's just say screw that and let's take the over here because I don't think Iowa gets shut out either. I think this is a pretty good Iowa offense. Best that they've had in a couple years. Caleb Johnson's one of the best running backs in the country. And if he gets a lane, he can take it a long way. So I think we get around 10 points, maybe even 17 from Iowa. We're getting way more than that. Ohio State's going to do the heavy lifting. So give me the over in this game.
Okay. Terrell, do you like the over as well in this game, or would you like to take one of the sides? Or are you going to be with the public and go Iowa here?
I don't like that Iowa's a public bet. I don't like Kate McNamara. I think that the goal for Ohio State here is stop the run, control the line of scrimmage, make Cade McNamara throw the ball because he's going to play for you and give you at least two, especially if he has to try to play from behind here. And that's my fear, that this could get really, really ugly. And if it gets ugly and McNamara has to throw to make them catch up, then yeah, it's pretty much over there. Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't think I was going Ohio State, but I'm going Ohio State here because I just don't trust Kate McNamara when they get down. And the defense, okay, but ultimately this could be a what gets us a cover, a 24-3 game. Like what if Iowa can't score? If there's a possibility that Iowa can't score. Last time in 2022 they only put up 10 points.
I mean, even 31-10 gets us there, right? Like even if Iowa does score a little bit. So maybe they score early. Maybe a scripted drive works for Iowa or something, right? But after that, I don't know. And like you said, Trell, Cade McNamara can turn into a turnover machine probably in no time at all against Ohio State.
Marshall put up 14 on these guys too. Like Marshall was moving the ball pretty well against them a couple weeks ago.
That's a good point.
So
yeah.
Okay. So Terrell, you're rolling Ohio State then?
Yep, I'm gonna roll with Ohio State here.
Okay, sounds good. And Bogman's going to hit that over here, potentially also side with Ohio State as well. And before we continue, I want to tell you about Fast Break Bets. If you like betting on basketball, then join host Terrell Furman on the Fast Break Bets podcast, your daily dose of basketball betting in 15 minutes or less. Tune in every day for your rapid fire fix of all things basketball. From the W to the NBA to college basketball and more. Check out the Fast Break Bets podcast on Betting Pros YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Heading into the primetime slate, it will be the 15th ranked Clemson Tigers traveling to Florida State to face the Seminoles, who will be without DJU. Thank God. Clemson is favored by 14.5, but the Betting Pros projections actually are projecting this to be closer to an 8.5-point game here, signaling a ton of value on the Seminoles. However, they will be without starting left guard Richie Leonard, who is out for the season with a torn Achilles. Meanwhile, Clemson does have some question marks at the wide receiver position. Leading wide receiver Antonio Williams, he exited Saturday's game against Stanford and did not return. And then starting flanker wide receiver Adam Randall, also questionable coming into this one as well. They should get defensive tackle Woods back here, though. And I already laid down on the Tigers, Terrell, so I'm feeling not the best after seeing the Betting Pros projections here. I think this is going to be a tighter one. Should I have buyer's remorse?
No, I understand. If somebody sat there and told me they're taking Clemson, and I mean 90% of money is on Clemson, so I'm not surprised. But I think I want to fade that, and I want to take Florida State. And the angle here is that if Florida State was to ever have a Super Bowl for the rest of the season, this is it. This game was actually supposed to be game day, to believe it or not. I don't think anybody has provided proof of that or is going to confirm or deny that. But I'm going to go ahead and add my journalistic touch. I'm telling you right now.
Why would it not be the game day?
It was supposed to be game day. They thought,
but FSU is so miserable.
They're so bad.
Yeah.
So you can't do it. And now they're going to freaking Cal and what is it? Cal and Miami? Like, all right, don't get me started on the Miami train again. But nonetheless, I think this is the get-up game for Florida State, where they're saying, man, yes, we're having a terrible season. We look horrible. We got blowed out last week on the road to SMU, a newcomer in this conference. And here goes Clemson, the team that we finally got the monkey over our back. Like, we finally got over it and got the win last year. We feel confident against this team. Last couple meetings before that, we were able to keep this close. In fact, they were able to make it a 6-point loss and a 10-point loss in the last two meetings prior. So they've covered this number in the last 3 games against Clemson. And yeah, I think that they're going to be able to do it again one more time. And just no DJU, new energy in Florida State. Clemson looking a little bit past this Florida State team who isn't as good as they thought they was. I'm rolling with Florida State here, plus points.
Okay, Bogman, I know earlier in the week you were siding with Clemson. Has anything kind of changed on this for you?
Not too much. I still lean towards Clemson, but my official bet is going to be on the over here. And,
Okay.
I think that quarterback Brock Glenn will maybe he brings something new. He hasn't had a fair shake yet in terms of his starts. I mean, he had to start against Georgia when everybody left FSU last year. What do you expect? I think he was like 9 for 21 with a bunch of picks. Like that was just not a game that should count against him on the resume, right?
Sure.
So maybe he brings something a little bit more to Florida State, but even if he doesn't, I think Clemson gets most of this total, 47.5. Clemson has given up a bunch of points in the second half as well. 28 of 34 against Georgia were in the second half. 28 of 35 against NC State were in the second half.
Okay.
Only 7 on both sides against Stanford for Clemson. But I think they can get figured out in the second half a little bit. So I think with a new quarterback, maybe you make some adjustments in the second half. Maybe this makes this a tighter game in the second half. But I think Clemson is going to score on Florida State because they are going to have stalled out drives. They are going to have probably a turnover or two in this game. Turnovers less predictable, of course, but Clemson's defense is very strong, and they get one of the best players back in Woods, as you mentioned, Seth. So for me, I lean towards Clemson in this game, but I would rather have the over in this one at 47.5 because I think we get most of the heavy lifting from Clemson, and then the rest probably happens in the second half when Florida State makes some adjustments. Mike Norvell's still a good head coach. I don't know what his obsession with DJU was. It felt like everyone jokes about a blackmail situation. Like, what is happening here, right? Why is DJU still the quarterback of this team? It made no sense to keep him. It took him to get hurt, but he is gone now, and he can't play in this game, even if Brock Glenn has a bad first half. So I like the over in this one.
Okay. In the Twin Cities, it is the 11th ranked USC Trojans who are now just 8-point favorites against the unranked Minnesota Gophers. USC had both starting wide receiver Mekhi Lemon and tight end Lake McRee out last week, and no word if they will suit up this Saturday. I don't see a lot of value here. The BP projections also don't see a lot of value here. Can you sniff it out, Bogman? It's been really tough to tell which Minnesota team is going to show up week to week here.
No, I can't sniff it out. I've been terrible at picking USC. I've been terrible at picking Minnesota this year. So I think my gut leans towards USC in this game and laying the points because I think this is a real true aerial attack. We saw Wisconsin not be able to handle it. I think Minnesota and Wisconsin are kind of similar types of Big Ten teams that want to run the ball, play defense. I don't like this game. I haven't been good at picking USC or Minnesota, so don't listen to me on this one. Yeah. But I would like USC, and I would lay the points.
Okay, Terrell, do you think they'll be able to air it enough, especially if they're without their tight end and Lemon out there as well?
It's getting close to it. Well, no, it's officially fall. I'm taking Minnesota. USC, I'm fading this USC team in the fall and winter over here in the Big Ten on the road. There's just, look, in a game that is really ugly and it's hard to decide, you got to figure out what your edge is. And my edge is that USC is going on the road in the Big Ten to a Minnesota team that played Michigan very, very well. Fair. And if it wasn't for a bad call at the end of the game, they probably would have came back and won that game. I think Minnesota is better than the books and the public are giving them credit for. So I like these points. Give me the points for Minnesota.
Okay. Elsewhere, everyone's favorite team to back, the 4th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers, head to Woo Pig Suey country to battle the 3-2 Arkansas Razorbacks. No line movement since Monday, and perhaps that's probably because our projections, some other projections also showing that this game actually might be closer to 12 points rather than that spread that we're getting right now of 13 and a half at some shops as well. The Vols come off a bye week, so we're going to assume they're at full health for Josh Heupel and company, but the Razorbacks are banged up. They're missing their top tight end who left last week's game. He's questionable, as did their cornerback Keon Stewart. He left last week's game. No word on his availability either. How are we attacking this game in Fayetteville, Terrell? It is their annual stripe out. Keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. And I actually have a good friend. Shout out to Bridge. I don't know if Bridge is watching. Bridge told me he watches and he tries to catch. So shout out to Bridge. He was my master sergeant when I was deployed. And Bridge is a huge, he's from Arkansas, huge Arkansas fan, and he's going to be at the game. So hope you have fun, Bridge. And I'm on your Arkansas Razorbacks. I think that they are going to get it done because I do like Taylor Green, and I do think Bobby Petrino has something going with this offense. And I think that this is a pretty adequate test for Tennessee on the road to be able to go get this done here. I think this is a very, very nice spot where Arkansas gets up for this game. They really, all the pressure is on Tennessee at this point. Tennessee is now ranked fourth in the country. We've seen this from Tennessee in years past where they've gone and they rank top 5, top 10 in the polls, and then they kind of have that game that's like, oh man, well, it's Tennesseeing again. And I think this is one of those letdown spots where everybody likes Tennessee, and I just think Arkansas keeps this a little bit closer than Tennessee would like. So I love the points here.
Too many points for you as well to back Tennessee this week, Bogman?
No, but I don't like this game. I probably won't be betting it.
Okay.
But if I was, I'm still going to lean towards Tennessee because they're coming off a bye. They have 2 weeks to prep for this game. But I don't like it because of everything Terrell said. You know, it's under the lights at Arkansas. It's a big time SEC game. That crowd, led by our guy Bridge here, is going to be at full throat.
Shout out Bridge.
They're going to have a great time in Arkansas. So I don't really like this game, but my problem with backing Arkansas in this game is that I just don't know how they're going to be able to run against Tennessee very well. I mean, they had 100 yards against A&M last week, but that was on 30 attempts, right? I think Tennessee is going to be able to score specifically early. I think they're going to 2 weeks to game plan in this game is going to be tough for Arkansas. So can Arkansas come back on Tennessee and make this a game? I have big questions about that. So I don't really like this game, but I would lean towards Tennessee here. But Bridge, have a good time. I hope your Razorbacks win, man. I would love to see Tennessee lose, but I'm going to stay away from this one. But my lean is towards the Volunteers still.
Okay. All right. Shout out to our guy Bridge. And now let's head to the shores of Lake Washington, where it's a national championship rematch against the 10th ranked Michigan Wolverines and the 3-2 Washington Huskies. We've got some questionable tags for the Maize and Blues here. Sherrone Moore said he expects cornerback Will Johnson to play, and edge Josiah Stewart should be available to go in this one as well. But he did say something similar last week about Johnson, and he didn't play. Meanwhile, we also have some banged up offensive members here for Michigan. Samaj Morgan, the wide receiver there, and left tackle Miles Hinton. They are both questionable, as well as the starting safety for Michigan. The Huskies, they should be pretty much good to go. However, they did lose defensive lineman Jaden Parker for the season, and edge Zach Dufree remains questionable as well. So according to BP projection, there is a ton of value on Michigan here. They give them about a 55% chance to at least cover this game. I'm saying, boys, if you got them, smoke them. Like, I'm all the way back in on Michigan here. I threw 3 units on them last week. I let it burn up in the sky, and I'm going right back in. 3 more units down on my Michigan Blue, baby. Terrell, are you riding with me here on Michigan this week? You've been fading them all season.
Yeah, I'm going to keep doing it. Although, I will say, I don't like Will Rogers as a quarterback. It's not one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. So that is a concern for me. I feel like the defense can get to him and rattle him a little bit. But I also am questionable of this Michigan offense getting going. So I guess I'm really on the under here. I think that's probably a better play for me. But yeah, no, I'm not taking Michigan. Come on, man.
What about you, Bogman? You smoking them with me? You smoking them with me?
Michigan has let me down twice. They covered against USC and then they didn't cover against Minnesota. So I'm with Terrell. I'm on the under in this game. And, Washington has just failed in the face of their 2 tests. They faltered in the Apple Cup against Washington. They had 500 yards against Rutgers and couldn't score. They had that same issue in the Apple Cup. They had 452 yards and only 19 points. Is this going to get better against the best defense that they played in Michigan? I don't think so. So I would probably lean towards Michigan and take the points, Seth. But for me, I like the under here because we know that Michigan is a one-dimensional offense. They're only running the ball. And I think Washington can move the ball a little bit here, but they're 85th in third down conversions. And they've been struggling in the kicking game as well, 5 for 11 in field goals here. So unless Michigan magically gets much better passing this game. I think this under, and it's a low under, 41.5. Is that still the number here, Seth? So
yes. Yep.
Yeah, I'm with Terrell. We're going to rock the under in this game.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll be talking to you boys next week, and hopefully I am a little bit happier backing my my arch rival.
Michigan 14-0 win. Let's go. Let's get that one.
That's all we need. That's all we need out there, man. Let's go ahead and close out the program here, boys, with the nightcap and the host of College Game Day in Berkeley, California. Yes, sir. You know it. Where Miami is now laying just 10 points on the Golden Bears. For Miami, they are hoping to get defensive end Ruben Brain Jr. back. According to Mario Cristobal, he should be a go. Meanwhile, left tackle Jalen Rivers will be a game-time decision. Cal did lose their right guard in a scary injury against Florida State, but they are coming off a bye week and should be relatively healthy other than that. Bogman, could this line keep moving to the point where Miami's maybe only favored by a touchdown, maybe 8 points or so? And at that price, would you get invested?
Thank you for the Calgorithm on that, right? Like the Calgorithm has been outstanding on Twitter this year. But look, last time we had one of these games and I didn't feel right about it, I just said avoid. And BYU won straight up going away against K-State. So my gut is howling at me about this game. It's so much travel all the way across the country for Miami to go from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. It's a 6-hour flight. Their equipment, it takes 44 hours to drive out there. So
wow.
I see this dragging for Miami. The kickoff is a local 10:30 Eastern kick. So I don't like the late night. I don't like the travel for Miami. They showed us last week that they're not trustable. I'm still not going to take Cal, though. I don't think Cal is trustable unless you're getting 2 scores here. I like the under in this game. Right now, the total, I believe, is, did you call out 54.5? Is that right, Seth?
54 now I'm seeing at Fanatics.
54 flat. So, yeah.
Yep.
So, I like the under here. I think Cal will have problems scoring. And by the way, Cal games 0-4 playing to the over. And now, Miami's on the other side. They're 4-0-1. But if we do see those late night struggles, that long travel struggles, Miami also looking ahead to the bye week and probably partying for a week. They just want to get this game over with. It's the same thing that they did against Virginia Tech to start that game. Looked like they wanted no part of it. But where Virginia Tech can score, I think Cal is going to have problems either way. Like you said, Bain coming back here as well for Miami. So for me, I like the under in this game.
Terrell, the floor is yours, my friend.
Cal.
No explanation needed.
Did you see the game last week?
Yeah.
This is officially the Cristobal messes this up game. Cal. I'm taking Cal.
Are you taking Cal on the money line?
Why not? I mean, the
Plus
ACC is making business decisions. Maybe I need to take Miami on the money line and Cal to cover. Maybe I need to do a little parlay like that since the ACC's out here making business decisions.
Yeah, plus 346 if you want to get invested in the potential upset there. So there you go. Well, Terrell, we hope by next week you're a little more cheery, our friend, and you can have hopefully a winning week as well as your friend down there in Arkansas. But that will do it for us today on the Betting Pros College Football Show. Bogman, he will be back later in the week with more best bets and his player props for the week. Until then, like this video if you enjoy it, subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and podcast feed, plus download the Betting Pros app and sync your sportsbooks today. For Scott Bogman and Terrell Furman, I'm Seth Woolcock. Thanks for watching. Take care, y'all.